Steve-O.
Yo, what's the word?
What's the word, man? Your boy about 95% healed in this bit. You feel me?
I'm about 85 now.
Yes, sir, man. It's crazy. Listen, man, the Chicago Bulls got whooped on by the Indiana Pacers yesterday afternoon in Indiana. We got some Bears news on the Ben Johnson effect around Hylas Hall. Cubs and White Sox continue their spring training, and we'll touch on anything else Chicago sports related, of course, right after the intro. Good morning, Chicago sports fans. Welcome to another episode of Chi-Town Sports Central. It's your boy Big Kev with Steve-O Speaks in the building. Y'all already know, follow us wherever you like to follow stuff. It is what it is. Look, Chicago Bulls got whooped on yesterday in a game where it was close to the fourth quarter where they just decided to score 20 points, Steve-O.
Yeah, I told y'all they use all their game breaker moves last game. I mean, it was a hard fought game that we had against who we went against? Who's that team? Who we beat?
You talking about in overtime when they
Yeah.
came back? Jeez, bro. I
How
can't
did I
even
forget
tell
who
you.
we beat?
They just played the Raptors. They came back and
Raptors.
beat the
That's what it
Raptors.
was, the Raptors. So yeah, they showed a lot of grit in that game. So I knew it was gonna be pretty difficult to, have a similar type performance. But like it wasn't like they got completely smoked. Like for the most part, they fought majority of this game. The league kind of went back and forth majority of this game. Started pull away towards that fourth quarter when they just wasn't able to hit shots down the stretch. Josh Giddey didn't have one of his Josh Giddey games that he's been having since the All-Star break. And everybody else, Zach Collins was back looking like a normal Zach Collins and stuff. So like, yeah, it is what it is. Coby was off. I mean, of course, we know with Io being out for the rest of the season, the shoulder injury. So
I felt like
man,
it was more about defense, Steve-O. Like you had good efforts from pretty much everybody that played offensively, at least. Modis had a strong game, couple of big dunks, 18.6 boards. Zach Collins still gave you
and a
16.
crazy block.
Yeah, and Zach Collins still gave you 16 and 5. Josh Giddey was flirted with a triple double. So I would venture to say it was kind of a typical Josh Giddey game with 18, 7,
I
and
mean,
9.
compared to what he was doing the last few games, that's what I'm saying.
18, 7, and 9, though. Like, that's basically what he's been doing because he's been giving you double doubles. He just didn't get a double double for the first time in like 2 weeks. And then Coby had a stretch where he hit 3 straight threes. But Coby, man, like, it's Coby, you know. Fourth quarter just wasn't kind to him. He had 26 points and 7
That's
rebounds.
what I was
But
saying. I just had to look at it again. He wasn't shooting 5 for 15 though.
yeah.
Josh Giddey, he usually have a game like that, but he been shooting more efficiently. That's what I meant.
He had been more
John
efficient.
and with Coby, he gave you 26 and 7, but like you said, when it came down to the fourth quarter, he just don't know how to win. Like he don't know when, and like it's just weird. Like for him to have some game winning situations, being a part of some game winning situations, you would think he'll know what to do in those situations, or just know, okay, it's time. He don't have it. He just don't get it, and it is what it is when it comes to that.
Crazy thing about the Bulls, though, man, is like they still gonna make the play in. That's the crazy. They're 2-8 in their last 10 games, and they're still firmly, squarely in the play-in spot. And they're not even too far behind the Hawks or the Magic or the Heat, for that matter. Like they can move all the way up to the seventh, as high as the 7th seed. It's crazy to think that the East has reverted to just ineptitude, but you can tell a lot of these teams are trying to get Cooper Flag, man. But yeah, so tough loss for the Bulls last night, but it's all about the development of the young people. And I'm gonna be frank with you, I definitely, even with the 5 for 15, I like what I saw from Giddey yesterday and
I
Monty
did.
Ellis.
Yeah, I wasn't upset. Like I said in previous episodes, as long as we ain't going out there getting smacked like we did against that game against Detroit,
Yeah.
I'm fine with it. We was in the game for the majority of the game until the fourth quarter, where we just simply could not make shots, and they was making shots. We already know that Indiana's up there when it comes to offense in the league, so we knew that was the battle we was gonna go into, and we knew they couldn't defend shit. So we tried as much as we possibly could, but just didn't come out with the W at the end, which is good in our case anyway.
Yeah, I mean, you know, it's good, but it ain't good enough because the Nets and the Sixers just, even though the Sixers
Terrible.
beat Golden State the other day, it's crazy. It was crazy to see. But all right, y'all already know what it is. Hit up Chi-Town Sports Central. I mean, not Chi-Town Sports, Chicago Bulls Central for any news, updates, and analysis on the Bulls with Hayes or the Chi Bulls podcast with CW and Bobby. They'll be live tomorrow night for the Cleveland Cavaliers versus Chicago Bulls game. Yeah, that's gonna be probably a shellacking. But who knows?
Yeah.
The Bulls always show up differently to different games, man. Just real quick on the Chicago Blackhawks, they've been playing all right since the All Star break. They haven't really been winning too much, but they ain't been getting their butts whooped. And they
Mhm.
beat the Ducks the other day 6-3. So they be putting up goals, Steve O. They
Mhm.
put up 5 goals against the Golden Knights and 6 goals in a win versus the Ducks. Today they play the Kings. So that's gonna be a fun game. Go ahead and head over to Chicago Blackhawks Central. Check out my man Skull and see what he got to say about the squad, man. Because I'm gonna be honest, it'd be hard to watch hockey when they not winning. I ain't
Nah, for real.
because it's not my first sport. Even though I did watch it in the '90s, but
Yeah.
it is what it is. Chicago Cubs and Chicago White Sox, Steve-O, they are in smack dab in the thick of spring training. Right now, the Cubs they suffered their first loss yesterday. Um, they've been winning or tying pretty much every game except yesterday, which they lost 7-3. But again, wins and losses ain't what it's about in spring training. It's really just about watching to see players develop, to see if everybody getting their swing right, their pitches right, so on and so forth. See if the coaches can do some couple of situational things. Later today, they take on the Diamondbacks back, Steve O.
Mm.
Then you got the Chicago White Sox, man. They got 2 wins in spring training. I didn't know if they was gonna win a game in spring
Right.
training. And the other day they put up 18 runs. It was like, whoa, what
Bro,
happened here? That was
I was sitting
crazy.
here like, okay. At least I didn't feel too bad about us giving up all them points the other day then.
Yeah, I mean, they've given up a lot of points all spring training. They take on the Athletics later on today, but just touch on real briefly, the over-under came out from Vegas for the Chicago White Sox. And the over-under for the Chicago White Sox is 53 and a half games. You can head over to Chicago White Sox
Yikes.
Central to hear what I had to say about the Chicago White Sox over-under and why I believe they will exceed expectations, Steve-O. I think they're going to do better than that 53 and a half games, just like I felt like the Bulls were going to do better than the 28 and a half that they had. What was it, 26, 28 that they said the Bulls were going to win this year. So
Mhm.
I think the Chicago White Sox are going to be better than that. They're still going to lose close to 100 games, but it's not going to be 110, 115. Head over to Chicago White Sox Central for that, and then Chicago Cubs Central for any news, updates, and analysis over there. Chicago Sky, Steve O, the Chicago Sky signed a new player to the training camp contract.
Morgan Birch. She's a familiar face. She was with the team. I want to say, I don't think it was last year. I think it was the year prior before that. Before I believe she got traded. She was with that trade to Minnesota. No, she might have been a part of that Marina trade. Either that, or she was one part of that trade that sent it over to yeah, I think she's part of that Marina trade. But she's a 3D player, somebody we're used to. We spent a lot of time with her before. She's actually a person that played quality minutes as a role player coming off the bench during those times where we was going to the playoffs with Candace and Kalia. So she was part of those teams. So she knows how to and what to expect to be a part of a winning organization or a team that wins a lot. So yeah, she brings something we need. We shooting was one of our biggest problems last year. We addressed it somewhat with Nurse, with Rebecca Allen that we signed, that we traded for this year, as well as we traded last year for Big Mama as well. If y'all don't know who that is, go do your research. But Big Mama, the shooter. So yeah, just adding somebody else who's a big body. She could play the mainly the three and sometimes the four. And she's a big body. She can play some defense. She can knock the shot down. And it's a training camp deal, so she gonna have to prove herself. She got some people she gonna have to go up against. Ariel, who we picked up in training camp. Her previous stint was with Seattle. She's a guard. She's a bucket. And I think she's gonna have a lot of competition with her. But if I had to pick two favorites early, her and Ariella, I think that's how you pronounce her name.
Hmm.
The Morgan and her is probably my picks to make the team just early on.
Yeah, I mean, and it's good as a couple of extra roster spots this season, right?
Hmm.
So it's not going to be any casualties like last year with the rookie that the Chicago Sky drafted out of UConn that didn't even make the team. I
Yeah,
thought that was
yeah,
rough.
but that was different because she got hurt.
Yeah,
Because if she didn't get hurt, she was making that team. There was
yeah,
no doubt about it. But
definitely needed her
I
shooting.
think she's done with her overseas deal, her contract over there, so we can pick her up. We want to,
Okay.
and I'm expecting us too. So I'm looking out for it.
Okay. All right, y'all already know what it is. Hit up Chicago Sky Central where Steve-O and Hayes hold it down there. And we're going to close with the Chicago Bears today, Steve-O. And I heard some things that actually is like music to my ears.
Something we're not used to.
Yeah, it turns out that there's a air of possibility that there's a Dan Quinn effect to being had at Hallis Hall with Ben Johnson. Last season, Sportskeeda, Tony Pauline wrote a couple of articles about the Commanders and how the field was around their facilities. And since when Dan Quinn arrived there, and now it's saying that he said it's a similar feeling with the arrival of head coach Ben Johnson. People tell me that unlike prior coaches, Johnson has laid out a specific plan for the organization, and for the first time in a while, people believe it's a winning plan. Now we've watched Ben Johnson's press conferences since he's been here in Chicago for the last 6 or 7 weeks now. We've seen what happened to Detroit and their offense once he took over as the offensive coordinator there, the different pieces that they drafted there. And frankly, just listening to him talk, Steve-O, I can understand why people might believe that he's having a Dan Quinn type of effect at Hallis Hall because he's a results driven and a proper planning type of coach. We didn't get that with the last regime.
Nope. And as soon as they said he had a plan, I 100% agree with him. One of the first things I heard that stood out to me in his first press conference or just talking with us once we hired him was I understand what this team is, and I'm going to build around it due to the squad that I have currently. That's a plan. That's a realistic plan because you don't necessarily always you have a lot of coaches that have a mindset or a plan or how they want to approach the game plan or how they want to coach the team, not realizing they can't run it like the previous team that they were just on. And that was the first thing he came in realizing, like, I can't. I'm gonna bring some things from Detroit that I learned and I like, but I'm not gonna treat this team like Detroit because they're not Detroit. They're a completely different team. They're set up differently. And if I do want to mimic some things from Detroit, I'm going to have to address it in the offseason in the draft, which he said. So, like you said, like the article says, it's a flat, it's a flat out plan that we're not used to getting, and it's believable. And it sounds like, according to the people that he's talking to around the league, whether that's inside the Bears organization, GMs, people in the media or whatnot, they believe it. And you already know most of our, I say, good 80% of our fans are on board with Ben and what he has in store.
Yeah, I mean, you still gonna have some detractors, but like when you got a person with a winner's mentality,
Hmm.
that's just not trying to let the game come to them, but is gonna attack it head on. Because that's what happened with the last coach with Eberflus. It seemed like he was more reactionary and was like, okay, we're gonna see what we're gonna take the
He
wait
didn't
and see
plan.
approach.
Yeah, he didn't
And,
plan for the bad
or even in the
or the
games.
good.
Right. Like, or even in the games, like he coached not to lose. So many times the
Yeah.
Bears lost games that they had in the
Mhm.
bag because he wanted to be reserved, and it's, so at the end of the day, when you have a coach like this that's going to attack problems head on, that's going to go and take accountability from day one and force the organization, not just the players, not just the coaches, but the organization as a whole to take accountability. I'm all in for things like
Yep.
that. Now, to say that the Dan Quinn effect can go beyond that, because we're talking about a culture shift right now. If he can get to the point where it's not just a culture shift, but a shift in wins and losses too, then that's a true Dan Quinn effect, because these guys went from the number 2 overall pick to winning a
Damn near
playoff
Super
game.
Bowl.
Yeah, they're near the Super Bowl last year. So At the end of the day, the Chicago Bears have a long way to go. So don't get in the comments saying that, oh, y'all jumping the gun. No, we are just talking about how the
How it
culture,
looks. Yeah.
yeah, on paper and in conversation and in action right now leading into the draft is looking for the Chicago Bears at Hallis Hall. And we didn't hear these types of things about Eberflus when he was first brought over here to the Chicago Bears. All right, Steve-O, y'all already know what it is. Head to Chicago Bears Central if you want to hear any news, updates, and analysis there. We will be doing our second mock drafts after the combine
It's
coming
over.
real soon.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so we're gonna be on that soon.
real soon. So you'll be seeing our second mock drafts and then the third ones. So it's gonna be exciting, man. It's real exciting to be a Chicago Bears fan right now. Y'all already know. Type in your favorite Chicago sports team, put the word Central behind it. You'll find one of the gang. And then of course we got NBA Central, the Shy Bulls podcast with C Dub and Bobby, and the brand new NFL Central with Steve O and Bobby. So Steve O, you got anything else for the gang?
Nah, man, just stay locked in, stay commenting, stay liking, call in for them voicemails on Bulls and Bear Central, and let's keep it rolling.
And White Sox Central. Go
And
follow
White Sox Central.
and Cubs Central. Go follow Chicago
Because
White Sox Central. Go
I
follow
know
Chicago
you and
Cubs
Mike got
Central.
something planned for some live streams this year.
Oh yeah, absolutely,
So I'm gonna
man.
need y'all to be in that mug.
Yes, sir. We in there. So y'all know what it is. Don't forget to pray, man. Stay focused, and stay warm, man. It's
Taking
chilly out
vitamin.
there. Drink,
Bro,
drink.
it's gonna be warm as hell today.
Yeah, I know. I was out there this morning. It was like, oh, it's
Man,
already 40
that's why
degrees.
I'm sick as hell now. I'm tired of this shit.
Yeah, it's rough out there, man. But enjoy y'all week, Chicago, man. We appreciate y'all. We're gonna holler at y'all next time. Peace. We're finna be 50 for the next couple of days.